the user have to click on New Traditional Expense. Then the user must select which year this expense forecast belongs to. That's the traditional expense form. So here we have the expense forecast type. That would be OPEX or CAPEX, operational expensive, capital expenditure. The code, so this is a custom code for the expense. That would be the expense title, like internet services, data center, or usually this title is regards to what the expense is meant to. This is the company, so which company that expense belongs to. And this is the expense linked to the current year. So that expense is meant to 2017. This is the 2016 expense. So selecting this, we're basically telling the software that I'm planning the expense to the next year, and this year, this expense is represent this. So basically selecting a expense here, I'm connecting the current year expense to the next year expense forecast. So selecting an expense here, the software shows me how much I spent this year with this cost and how much I'm planning to expand until the year finishes. So we have the amounts here from January to December right here. The software makes the forecast to the next 5 years. So this year, 2016, would be inputting the expenses to the costs to 2017 to 2021. Down here, we have the expense category. So this is a way to categorize a cost. So I'm going to select some category here. Usually we have codes to every category. So if I say that we have 2 categories to that expense, what we basically have to do is tell how much from 2017 of that expense is regarding to each category. So I just input 12,000 here, and here I can say that to the first category, this expense represents like 6,000, and to this one 6,000. So basically I'm saying that 50% of that expense is represented by each category. Right here we have the contract adjustment. So this basically, here we basically tell that the contract every 12 months or 2 years is going to raise according to some financial index. Here we have the extended description. So the managers usually specify in this field what is that expense regarding to. We have some miscellaneous information here. So we have the cost center and the cost class. We have some additional category here. We have the responsible manager about that expense. We have the vendor. If we have a vendor, we can select it here. We have the status of that expense. So here we would have hired and pending. So this field is used to let the financial area and the accounting know if this is a new service or if this is a service that has been hired already. We have the priority right here. And this is a field where the manager describes, the manager or the team lead describes the risk of don't having that expense approved to the next year. We have some extended classification here. So these fields are connected to the Gartner classification, and we have some additional grouping here. So the company is able to create some additional groups, and right in this field, we can discriminate and assign which VP is responsible for that expense and how much the VP is responsible for that expense. So for instance, if you have an expense that is that service of that expense is provided to 2 VPs, you can here discriminate which VPs and how high is the percentage of each VP for that service. So that's basically all the fields of the traditional forecasting. Here we have the version right here. So it's a new expense, so we cannot see the previous versions. Now I'm going to edit a existing expense. So we will be able to see all the history. Let me select a expense right here. This is a real expense. As you can see, it's blocked because this forecasting cycle has been finished and blocked by the accounting and the financial area. We can see all the versions and take a look at all the history right here. We have a full log of all the change that have been made on this expense. We have the amount and who and when the maids were changed. So right here we can roll back in the time and take a look at the first version of that expense. As you can see, we just rolled back and got to the first version of that expense. So that's it. We basically walked through all the traditional expense form.